Another deep dive with us. Today we're taking a look at large language models, or LLMs for short.
Yeah, these are really changing things up.
I've been hearing about these things everywhere I go.
Right.
And, all the listeners are very interested as well. They send in tons of articles about this. And so we're going to get into it. But before we get too far, can you maybe just remind us all what exactly an LLM is? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, so LLMs are basically deep learning models.
Okay.
They're neural networks, and they are trained on just massive data sets of text and code. Think of like all the books you can imagine, all the articles, the entire internet, basically.
Really?
And all the code repositories you can think of.
So like GitHub and everything like that.
Exactly. So with all of that information, LLMs, they develop a really deep understanding of just how language works, how it functions, and it goes beyond just understanding individual words. These LLMs are trained to actually grasp entire concepts, the relationships between words, and even beyond that, they can even generate text formats like poems or even code.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So they're not just spitting out words that they've already seen. They're actually understanding how to put things together in new and creative ways.
Exactly. And that's kind of where this the transformer architecture comes in.
Okay.
So this model, this transformer model, it was introduced back in 2017. And it really just changed everything, completely revolutionized the entire field of natural language processing.
Yeah.
So imagine you're reading a sentence, you're going through it, and you are highlighting all of the important words, and you're making connections in your mind trying to figure out what this means.
Right.
That is essentially what this transformer model is doing. It uses this thing called self-attention, which allows the model to process all this information so much more accurately and efficiently than any of the previous models.
So it's like the LLM is actually figuring out the relationship between words and how they fit together to create meaning.
Precisely.
That's amazing. But what about the order of words? Cat chases mouse. It's very different from mouse chases cat, right?
Exactly, and that's where positional encoding comes in.
Yeah.
So positional encoding this makes sure that the model understands that the sequence of words, the order of words, is really important. It captures all of those crucial differences in meaning so you don't mix up who's chasing whom.
That's fascinating. So we've got these LLMs trained on this enormous amount of data, and they have this amazing transformer architecture. How do they actually learn? It's not like just a giant game of Mad Libs, right?
Oh, it kind of is, actually.
Right.
So during training, these LLMs are fed just huge amounts of text. And then they have to predict the next word in the sequence. It really is like a massive, massive fill-in-the-blank exercise. And with every single prediction, the model is basically refining its understanding of all of these language patterns, all of these nuances.
So there's constantly learning and improving with each new piece of text they encounter.
Exactly. And this constant refinement, that is where backpropagation comes in.
Okay.
So what happens is the model compares its prediction to the actual next word.
Right.
And then based on that, it adjusts all of these internal parameters to try to minimize errors. So it's basically getting better with every single attempt.
So it's like it's getting graded on its homework.
Yeah, you could say that.
But the teacher is this super complex algorithm. Now, I know the LLMs are used for a lot of different things. Chatbots, they can write code. How do you take this general language model and make it an expert in a specific area? Does it go back to school, get a specialized degree?
That's actually a great way to think about it. So what we do is we fine-tune the models.
Okay.
So after they're trained on this general data set, we can refine it for a very specific task. It's like giving it a focused internship in whatever field you want it to specialize in. So, for example, a medical LLM would be trained on all these medical journals and textbooks, and legal LLMs would be trained on legal documents and case law and so on.
So we could have a lawyer LLM, a doctor LLM, maybe even a chef LLM that can generate new recipes.
Exactly.
The possibilities seem endless.
Yeah, they really do. But with all of this training, all of this processing power, there must be some downside, some challenges, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, this can't be easy to do.
You're right. It's definitely not easy. So one of the biggest challenges with LLMs is their sheer size and complexity.
Okay.
These models, they require an enormous amount of computational power to train and run. And that means high energy consumption. It costs a lot. So researchers are constantly trying to address this.
It's not just a plug-and-play solution. There are resource limitations.
Exactly.
And what about all the talk about bias in AI? How does that apply to LLMs?
That's a crucial point and something that we need to think very carefully about. Because LLMs learn from the data that we feed them, right? So if the data reflects these existing biases in society, the LLM can actually inherit those biases and even amplify them in its output.
And wow.
And this raises some really serious ethical concerns, especially when we're talking about using LLMs in areas like healthcare or the legal system.
It's like they're learning from a biased textbook, which could lead to some very serious and unfair consequences.
Exactly. So researchers are working on ways to try to detect and mitigate this bias in the training data and developing methods to make the LLM decision-making process much more transparent and explainable so we can try to understand what's going on.
So it's an ongoing effort to ensure that these powerful tools are used responsibly.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like there's a lot of work being done to address those concerns,
Yeah.
which is good to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
But let's maybe shift gears a bit and talk about the cool stuff. What are some of the most exciting real-world applications for LLMs right now? I know we briefly touched on chatbots earlier.
Right. Yeah, chatbots are definitely one of the most prominent examples,
Yeah.
You've probably encountered them online, providing customer service or answering questions.
Right.
And what's really interesting is that LLMs are making those interactions feel so much more natural and human-like.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It's almost like having a conversation with a real person, even though, it's a machine. What else are these LLMs capable of? I've heard about them writing code, which sounds pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is remarkable. Code generation is a really rapidly evolving area where LLMs are making a big impact. Imagine describing what you want your app to do in plain English,
Yeah.
and the LLM generates the code for you.
Wow.
So this has the potential to make coding much more accessible to people who don't have formal training,
Right.
and also free up experienced developers so they can focus on those really complex tasks.
So it's like having an AI coding assistant that can translate your ideas into reality.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a game changer for anyone who has ever felt limited by their coding skills.
Yeah.
What about other applications? I'm sure there are tons more.
Oh, absolutely. LLMs are being explored for everything from summarizing lengthy documents to translating languages with incredible accuracy and fluency. They can even analyze complex data sets and generate creative content like poems, scripts, or even musical pieces.
Wow, it's like they're multi-talented artists.
Yeah.
But with all these advancements, it's important to remember the potential downsides we discussed, especially when it comes to things like bias and the need for transparency.
Absolutely. As LLMs become more integrated into our lives, it's just crucial to be aware of the ethical implications. For instance, if an LLM used in healthcare is trained on biased data, it could lead to misdiagnoses or unequal treatment.
Right.
So transparency is key to understanding how these models make decisions and ensuring they're used fairly.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we use it responsibly and ethically.
Right.
It's a powerful tool that requires careful consideration and oversight. What are some of the things researchers are doing to address these concerns?
Well, a lot of exciting work is being done to try to make LLMs more transparent and accountable. One area of focus is developing techniques to understand how LLMs arrive at their conclusions, so making their decision-making processes more explainable.
Oh.
Another focus is on ensuring that the training data used is diverse and representative to minimize bias.
So it's about opening up the black box and making sure the information they're learning from is balanced and fair. It sounds like a lot of work still needs to be done, but it's encouraging to know that these issues are being addressed. What does the future hold for LLMs? What are some of the areas where we might see the most exciting developments?
Well, one of the most fascinating areas is the development of multimodal LLMs.
Okay.
So these models can understand and generate not just text, but also images, videos, and other forms of data. Imagine an LLM that can describe what's happening in a video or generate a realistic image based on your description.
That's incredible. It's like taking these LLMs to a whole new level of understanding and creativity. What are some of the potential applications of these multimodal LLMs? I'm having trouble even wrapping my head around the possibilities.
Well, think about the potential in fields like healthcare, where an LLM could analyze medical images and provide insights to assist doctors in making diagnoses. Or in education, where LLMs could create interactive learning experiences that combine text visuals and even audio.
Those are some amazing examples. It sounds like multimodal LLMs could revolutionize the way we interact with information and technology.
Yeah.
Are there any other groundbreaking advancements on the horizon?
Well, another area that holds immense potential is the integration of quantum computing with LLMs.
Okay.
Quantum computers have the ability to process information exponentially faster than traditional computers,
Wow.
which could dramatically accelerate LLM training and enable them to tackle even more complex tasks.
Wow, quantum computing and LLMs. That sounds like a recipe for some truly mind-blowing advancements. It's exciting to think about what the future holds as these technologies continue to evolve. But before we get too carried away, it's important to bring the conversation back to the potential challenges and risks associated with LLMs. What are some things we need to be mindful of as these models become more powerful and prevalent?
Well, one of the key concerns is the potential for misuse. As LLMs become more sophisticated, they could be used to create incredibly convincing fake news articles, deep fakes, or other forms of misinformation. We need to develop safeguards to prevent these technologies from being used for malicious purposes.
That's a sobering thought.
Hmm.
It's like any powerful tool that can be used for good or for bad. So it's crucial to be aware of the potential risks and to work towards mitigating them as these technologies advance. What are some of the ways we can ensure that LLMs are used responsibly and ethically?
Well, one important step is to establish clear ethical guidelines for the development and deployment of LLMs. This includes addressing issues like bias, transparency, and accountability. We also need to educate the public about the capabilities and limitations of LLMs so that people can be more discerning consumers of information.
That's a great point. It's about empowering people to be critical thinkers and to question the information they encounter, especially in the age of AI-generated content. So we've talked about the incredible potential of LLMs, the challenges they present, and the importance of ethical considerations. Where do we go from here? What are some key takeaways for our listeners who are just starting to explore this fascinating field?
I think the most important takeaway is that LLMs are incredibly powerful tools with the potential to revolutionize many aspects of our lives. But we need to approach these technologies with a balanced perspective, recognizing both their benefits and their risks.
It's like we're at a crossroads with this technology. We have the opportunity to harness its power for good, but we also need to be aware of the potential downsides and work to mitigate them. What can our listeners do to stay informed and engaged in this ongoing conversation about the future of LLMs?
Well, there are a lot of great resources available online and in libraries to learn more about this topic. Stay curious, ask questions, and engage in discussions about the ethical implications of AI.
So it's about staying informed, being critical thinkers, and participating in the conversation about how these technologies are shaped and used. That's a great note to end on. We've covered a lot of ground today, but there's still so much more to explore.
Absolutely. This is a rapidly evolving field, and it's crucial to stay up to date on the latest developments and participate in shaping the future of AI.
Wow, that was quite a deep dive into the world of LLMs.
Yeah, it really was.
We went from the very basics all the way to some pretty mind-blowing potential and, of course, some very real concerns that come with this powerful technology.
Right, and it's clear that this is really just the beginning.
Yeah.
We're at the forefront of this new era in artificial intelligence, and LLMs are playing this really pivotal role.
Yeah, I'm still processing everything we talked about. It's a lot to take in, you know,
Yeah.
but it's also incredibly exciting to think about what the future holds.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what fascinates me the most is the potential for LLMs to actually augment human capabilities.
Okay.
Imagine a world where we can collaborate with these AI systems, solve complex problems together, create amazing art, really push the boundaries of scientific discovery.
That's a beautiful vision of the future, humans and AI working together to achieve amazing things.
Yeah.
But as we discussed, it's not all sunshine and roses. There are these serious ethical considerations that we just can't ignore.
Absolutely. We need to be very careful. We need to be vigilant about ensuring that LLMs are developed and used responsibly and ethically.
Right.
And that means addressing those issues of bias, transparency, and accountability head on.
And it's a responsibility that we all share, right?
Absolutely.
We need to stay informed. We need to engage in these thoughtful discussions and advocate for the responsible development and deployment of these technologies.
Yeah, it's a call to action for all of us to be informed citizens, to understand the implications of these technologies and make sure that they're used to benefit humanity.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of LLMs, we want to leave you with this thought. The future is being written right now, and we all have a role to play in shaping it. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged.
Because the future of AI is not something that happens to us. It's something that we create together.
And that's a wrap for today's deep dive. We hope this exploration has sparked your curiosity and empowered you to explore the world of LLMs with a critical and informed eye. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries of knowledge.